Ethan had always considered himself lucky when it came to exploration. Not that he had ever traveled to alien worlds before, but he had a knack for finding the unexpected. And today, on this strangely vibrant planet far from Earth, luck seemed to follow him like a curious shadow. The air was thick with a sweet, metallic scent, and the sky shimmered in colors he had never seen before, hues of teal and violet blending, as if an artist had spilled paint across the heavens. He crouched near the edge of a crystal-lined cliff, examining a cluster of luminescent plants that pulsed softly with every heartbeat of the planet itself. They reminded him of bioluminescent mushrooms back home, but far larger, each glowing stem taller than a person. Ethan reached out carefully, letting his fingertips brush against one of the luminous stalks. A gentle vibration ran up his arm, making his hair stand on end. A thrill of excitement surged through him. Every explorer lives for moments like this. "Okay, Ethan, focus," he muttered to himself. "This is not the time to freak out over glowing plants." But what he did not expect was to meet intelligent life in such a dramatic way. A sudden flash of movement made him spin around. There, a few meters away, 3 figures hovered in the air above the alien flora. At first, he thought they were some kind of exotic bird, but their shapes were humanoid. Lean and lithe, with shimmering, iridescent skin that reflected the sky in flashes of green and blue, they looked almost like dancers suspended in midair. Their eyes were large, glowing faintly like the plants, but it was their smiles that froze him in place. The taller of the 3, with hair flowing like liquid silver, tilted her head and said, "You said the words." Her voice was not loud, but somehow he could hear it clearly, not in sound but in thought. It was strange and intimate, like a conversation inside his mind. I said words," Ethan stammered. He rubbed his forehead. "Wait, are you telepathic?" Ethan tried to steady himself, but when he glanced down, he realized his feet were no longer touching the ground. The sisters, he thought of them as sisters, though he had no idea if that was right, had lightly grasped his arms and lifted him effortlessly. I'm single," he said, trying to inject humor into the situation. He figured if they were telepathic, maybe honesty would help. He even smiled nervously, hoping to lighten the mood. The reaction was immediate. All 3 laughed, not a loud laugh, but a melodic, harmonious sound that resonated in his mind and chest. Their hands tightened gently on his arms, and Ethan felt himself being carried toward something in the distance. A city that floated above the ground like a group of massive, hovering stones, connected by bridges of light. "Single?" the silver-haired one asked, her voice bright with curiosity. "Interesting, very interesting." I mean, yes, I'm single, but..." He tried to clarify, but it was too late. They whisked him upward, gliding through the warm, glowing air. He caught glimpses of gardens floating in midair, waterfalls that seemed to defy gravity, and creatures that looked like living ribbons of light. Everywhere he looked, the world felt alive, intelligent, and impossibly beautiful. Wait. "Where are you taking me?" he called, though his words were partly drowned by the rushing wind and their telepathic hum. "We will explain everything," the copper-haired one said, "but first you must see our home." He had been in tight spots before, just never with 3 alien beings who could lift him into the sky. "All right," he muttered, trying to sound braver than he felt. "Let's see your home." Gardens with plants like nothing on Earth hung upside down or sideways, their roots reaching toward the sky as if mocking gravity. Lights pulsed rhythmically along the paths, and the sisters moved with an elegance that made Ethan feel clumsy in comparison. They finally set him down on a platform at the center of the city. He looked around, noticing the energy flowing like water through the entire structure. He realized quickly that this wasn't just architecture, it was alive. The city seemed to respond to their presence, pulsing brighter as they approached certain areas. "You have much to learn," the gold-haired sister said, her eyes sparkling with amusement. "And you are very human." "Human, thanks, I guess. Mostly at myself. And you are a very interesting visitor." He had always loved puzzles and challenges, and it seemed that here his human strengths would matter. "All right," he said, trying to sound confident. "I'm game." Ethan had to think quickly, noticing patterns, predicting movements, and solving puzzles that seemed impossible at first glance. The sisters watched him closely, their glowing eyes full of curiosity and approval. At one point, a floating orb descended toward him, spinning rapidly. Ethan instinctively reached for it, catching it midair and using it to complete the puzzle. The sisters gasped in delight, laughter rippling through the platform. "You are clever," said the silver-haired sister. Humans may be fragile, but your minds are sharp and strange. We like it. He had survived countless tight situations back on Earth, but this was different. Here his humanity was admired. The sisters floated closer, still holding him lightly as they examined him. "You have passed the first trials," the copper-haired one said. "But the greatest trial is yet to come. There is a storm approaching. It is unlike anything we have faced." "A storm?" "You will learn much," said the silver-haired one. "And in return, we will learn about you. Humans are fascinating creatures. Humans have always adapted, always found a way, and perhaps that was exactly what these alien sisters needed. A human mind, unpredictable and bold, in a world far beyond the stars." The first part of his adventure had begun, and he could already feel that life on this planet would change him forever. Above all, he understood one truth. Sometimes a simple joke, like saying, "I'm single," can lead to an adventure beyond imagination, one that challenges every skill, wit, and instinct a human possesses. And if he survived, he would emerge not only as a visitor, but as a valued part of something extraordinary. For now, he laughed nervously and followed the sisters deeper into their city, unaware of the trials, surprises, and friendships awaiting him in the days ahead. But one thing was clear. Human ingenuity, humor, and heart would be the key to surviving, thriving, and earning the respect of beings far more advanced than himself. Ethan followed the three sisters through the floating city, his steps careful on the glowing paths that seemed almost alive. Everywhere he looked, the alien metropolis amazed him. Gardens that twisted in impossible ways, pools of liquid light reflecting shapes that were not quite there, and bridges that arched gracefully between platforms without any visible support. He tried to keep his composure, but every few steps he found himself stopping to stare in wonder. "Do humans always stare so much?" the silver-haired sister asked, tilting her head with amusement. Ethan blinked, realizing he had probably been gawking. I guess we do when everything is new and amazing. Those who do not look are blind in more ways than one." Yet here, these advanced beings seemed genuinely interested in him, not for his strength or his tech, but for his mind, his humor, and his perspective. They led him to a wide platform at the edge of the city, where the air shimmered in multiple colors. Floating orbs hovered lazily around the platform, and each one seemed to pulse with energy. "This is where you will learn," said the gold-haired sister, her voice soft yet full of authority. "We do not train visitors in our technology immediately. First, you must understand us, understand how we think, how we play. Only then can you truly help." "I'm ready." "You must think differently." Ethan realized quickly that this was not just about speed, but perception. He had to anticipate the movements, predict the patterns, and interact with the orbs to complete shapes and sequences. At first, he struggled. His mind wanted to solve the patterns in straight lines and simple logic, but the orbs moved like water, forming loops, spirals, and intersections that defied gravity. He stumbled several times, accidentally disrupting a formation and causing the sisters to laugh. "Not bad," said the gold-haired sister, her voice playful. "Your mistakes are entertaining, but try again." His hands moved instinctively, tapping and guiding the orbs into alignment. When he succeeded at the first challenge, the sisters' eyes glowed brighter. "Interesting," said the silver-haired sister. "You see patterns we did not expect you to notice. Humans, you are strange indeed, but your perspective is valuable." He realized that what the sisters valued was not brute strength or advanced technology, but the human ability to adapt, to improvise, to notice things others might miss. The challenges continued, each one more complex than the last. Some required him to think laterally, solving puzzles in ways he had never considered. Others tested his memory, asking him to replicate sequences of light and movement perfectly. At times, he failed spectacularly, causing the sisters to laugh, but each time he learned, adjusted, and tried again. "You are persistent," said the copper-haired sister. "Persistence is admired. You do not give up easily. This is human." "I've never been very good at giving up." Finally, the sisters floated closer, their expressions softening. "You have done well," said the gold-haired sister. "You have learned much, and yet there is still more. But for now, we rest. You must rest as well. The city requires balance, and so do you." Ethan felt sleepiness settle over him, though his mind was still buzzing from the challenges. "You are different from other humans we have observed," said the silver-haired sister. "You laugh, you struggle, you adapt. It is admirable. Perhaps this is the first time you have met beings who can see the value in your nature, not just your actions." and they had welcomed him not as a visitor but as someone worth teaching. As he drifted toward sleep, he thought about his life on Earth, the quiet streets, the simple routines, the endless work. None of that mattered here. Here he was part of something bigger, something that challenged him in ways he had never imagined. He felt pride in being human, in his ability to think creatively and adapt to the unknown. When he woke, the city was bathed in a soft, golden light. The sisters were already waiting, floating gracefully in the air. "It is time," said the copper-haired sister. "You will now see the second part of our teaching. You will understand more about our culture, our ways, and the ways humans may help us. They are part of our daily life. You will learn to understand them, not through force, but through intuition and observation." "It is," said the silver-haired sister. "But understanding comes not from seeing alone. You must interact, learn, and find solutions when challenges arise. Observation is only the first step." Humans had never dealt with this type of technology before, but Ethan approached it with curiosity. He noticed patterns, applied logic, and experimented carefully. The sisters watched intently as he moved, adjusted, and recalibrated. Slowly, the conduits began to align, pulsing with synchronized light. Ethan grinned, feeling a rush of accomplishment. "You learn quickly," said the copper-haired sister. "Your mind works in ways that complement ours. This is rare. Humans, you are remarkable. Your humor is unexpected but welcome." As night fell over the floating city, Ethan gazed at the glowing horizon, the alien sky filled with unfamiliar stars. He knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, perhaps even greater ones. But for the first time, he felt confident that he could face them. Humans had survived in countless harsh environments on Earth. Here, in a world far beyond the stars, their ingenuity, creativity, and heart were just as valuable. And as he drifted to sleep in the soft, radiant chamber, he smiled, realizing that this adventure, sparked by a simple joke about being single, was only just beginning. The morning light spilled across the floating city like liquid gold, illuminating the intricate bridges and gardens that stretched in impossible patterns. Ethan stepped onto the central platform, feeling the familiar hum of the city beneath his feet. The sisters were already waiting, hovering gracefully in the air, their eyes glowing softly. "Today," said the silver-haired sister, her voice calm yet filled with anticipation, "you will face a challenge unlike the games. It will test not just your mind, but your ability to see and act in ways you have not before." The copper-haired sister gestured toward the horizon. "The energy storm approaches. It is a disturbance unlike any we have experienced. It moves across our world, affecting our city's energy flow. You will help us study it and find a way to stabilize our systems." It looked like a wave of light, flickering and pulsing as it moved closer. It doesn't look dangerous," he said cautiously, "but I can see why it would worry you. Your perspective may help." Panels of light shifted and changed at his touch, displaying streams of energy, holographic maps of the storm, and overlays of the city's systems. Ethan studied the patterns carefully, noting the irregularities. Unlike the precise, predictable flows of the city's energy, the storm moved chaotically, like a living pulse that ignored any expectation. "Observe first," said the silver-haired sister. "Do not act too quickly, learn its rhythm." It was faint, almost imperceptible, but enough to suggest a potential solution. "I think I see a pattern," he said, pointing to the streams. "It's not constant, but it repeats every few moments. If we synchronize the city's energy with that rhythm, we might reduce the interference. But it will require precision and creativity. Our systems alone may not adjust quickly enough. It's a bit like playing a musical instrument. You follow the rhythm and adjust in real time." He manipulated the energy panels, making slight adjustments to the city's flow while keeping the storm's pattern in mind. He imagined it as a dance, each pulse and flicker part of a rhythm that could be guided rather than resisted. The first few attempts caused small disruptions, and the sisters' eyes glowed with both amusement and curiosity. "Not bad," said the silver-haired sister. "You improvise, you do not fear mistakes. This is human." The sisters observed him, occasionally guiding him with subtle mental suggestions, but mostly letting him take the lead. "This is remarkable," said the gold-haired sister. "Your mind adapts to chaos in ways our technology cannot. We underestimated the value of your perspective." He had never considered humans remarkable beyond Earth, but here, in a city floating above an alien world, his ingenuity mattered. His ability to observe patterns, improvise, and take risks had made him an essential part of solving the problem. As the storm approached closer, the pulse of energy grew stronger. It stretched and twisted across the sky, threatening to disrupt more of the city's delicate balance. Ethan's fingers moved rapidly across the panels, his eyes scanning every line, every shift. "We're almost there," he said, his voice steady. "Just a few more adjustments." Even in uncertainty, you act decisively. This is human courage. Finally, with one final sequence of adjustments, the storm began to stabilize. The chaotic flickers slowed, aligning with the city's energy flows. The orbs of light that dotted the city pulsed in unison, reflecting the storm's new rhythm. A wave of relief washed over Ethan. "It is working," he said softly. We're stabilizing it." "You have done well," said the silver-haired sister. "Humans are more capable than we imagined. Your ability to improvise, to see what others cannot, has saved our city. It is about action, observation, and heart. Humans, you have these qualities in ways we admire greatly." "You have earned our trust," said the copper-haired sister. "And more than that, our respect. You have proven that your kind has qualities we value: creativity, humor, and courage in the face of uncertainty." He had come to this planet expecting adventure, perhaps even danger, but not this. Acceptance, recognition, and admiration from beings far more advanced than himself. Humans often felt small in the universe, but here, in this city among the stars, he realized that being human was a gift, not a limitation. The sisters then led him to a smaller platform overlooking the city, where the horizon stretched into ribbons of light and color. "You will rest now," said the silver-haired sister. "Tomorrow you will learn more. There is still much for you to see, to understand, and to help with. The storm was only a beginning." I can't wait," he said honestly. As he lay down in the soft, radiant chamber provided by the sisters, he reflected on the day's events. Every challenge had been a test, not of strength, but of mind and character. He had learned that human ingenuity and intuition could solve problems even advanced technology could not. He had laughed, struggled, and succeeded, and in doing so, he had earned the admiration of these alien beings. Sleep began to take him, and he dreamt of the storm, of glowing orbs, and of the sisters' eyes filled with curiosity and delight. In his dreams, he felt himself dancing with the patterns of energy, guiding chaos into harmony, and realizing that even in a vast and strange universe, humans had a place, a role that was unique, valuable, and necessary. When he woke, the city was quiet and glowing softly under the alien sun. The sisters were already waiting, ready to introduce him to the next part of his adventure, but Ethan felt a deep sense of confidence. He had faced chaos, learned quickly, and shown the power of human adaptability. He was ready for whatever came next, knowing that his perspective, creativity, and courage would always find a way to shine. The storm had been a test, yes, but more than that, it had been a revelation. Humans were small, perhaps, in the vastness of the cosmos, but their minds, hearts, and spirits could influence even the most alien of worlds. Ethan realized, with a mix of pride and humility, that this was what the sisters had wanted him to see, that humanity's true power was not in strength or numbers, but in ingenuity, creativity, and the courage to act when others hesitated. And as he looked out at the floating city, glowing in harmony with the now stabilized storm, he smiled. The adventure was far from over, but he had proven something important, not just to the sisters, but to himself. Humans could thrive, adapt, and even inspire in worlds far beyond their own. And that knowledge gave him a sense of hope and excitement that would carry him into the challenges ahead. The floating city had returned to its quiet, glowing rhythm, but Ethan knew the day ahead would be just as demanding as the one before. The sisters were already waiting for him when he stepped onto the central platform, their glowing eyes bright with anticipation and amusement. "Today," said the silver-haired sister, her voice calm and musical, "we will see how well you can guide, not just act. The storm may be calm now, but the city's energy remains fragile. You will help us stabilize it permanently." But this challenge promised to be different. It would require not just observation, but collaboration, strategy, and leadership. "I'll do my best," he said, taking a deep breath. The copper-haired sister smiled, her eyes sparkling. "Your best is already remarkable. Today, you will work with us, not only to understand our systems, but to enhance them with your human perspective." The storm had left some parts misaligned, and small flickers of instability remained in the system. "These conduits are delicate," said the gold-haired sister. If one section is misaligned, the entire city can be affected. We cannot rely on observation alone. We must act and act together. Like a living organism. Ethan watched carefully, noticing details they did not explicitly show. He began to understand that the system responded not only to the sisters' guidance, but also to subtle patterns in timing, pressure, and rhythm. "This is where humans excel," Ethan said, a spark of excitement in his voice. "We notice things others might overlook. Small details can make a big difference." "Yes, your perspective complements ours. Humans have creativity in the face of structure. You see possibilities we may ignore." Where the sisters approached the conduits with precision and elegance, he experimented with patterns, predicting how the system would respond and gently nudging energy flows to stabilize weaker sections. The sisters watched, occasionally guiding him, but mostly allowing him to act independently. They were patient and encouraging, showing that they valued his insights rather than simply controlling him. Hours passed, and the city's energy network began to stabilize more than it ever had before. Flickers of misalignment vanished, replaced by a steady, harmonious pulse that flowed like a river of light. Ethan felt a deep satisfaction. His human intuition and creativity had helped the sisters enhance their own systems, creating a balance that was stronger than either humans or aliens could achieve alone. "You are remarkable," said the gold-haired sister, floating closer. "Humans are inventive. You take risks in ways we do not consider, and yet you succeed. We try, we fail, we adjust, and we try again. We don't give up easily." The floating gardens swayed gently, the bridges shimmered, and the pools of liquid light reflected the sky in dazzling patterns. The storm had passed, leaving behind a city more vibrant and alive than ever. The sisters then led him to a chamber that seemed to be made entirely of glass and light. From here, he could see the entire city, its energy network flowing smoothly like a living organism. "From here, you can observe the whole system," said the silver-haired sister. "And if needed, you can act to guide it, but observation is just as important as action. Humans have a unique ability to notice patterns and anticipate change. That is your gift." Small deviations caught his attention, and he realized that even in perfection, there was room for improvement. He began making subtle adjustments, predicting how the energy might shift throughout the day as the sun moved and the city pulsed with life. "You think ahead," said the copper-haired sister. "You anticipate change. This is something we admire greatly. Humans, your foresight is exceptional." "You have done well today," said the gold-haired sister. "You have not only stabilized the city, but enhanced it. Your creativity, patience, and insight have made a difference." "I just added a bit of human intuition." He had faced a challenge far beyond anything on Earth, and yet he had succeeded. Humans had survived and thrived in countless environments on their own planet. But here, they were proving that ingenuity, creativity, and adaptability could influence even worlds far beyond their own. As the day drew to a close, the sisters guided him to a balcony overlooking the floating gardens. The sun, if it could be called that, was low on the horizon, casting long shadows and bathing the city in a warm glow. Ethan took a deep breath, letting the sight wash over him. "You have learned much," said the silver-haired sister. "And yet there is still more to understand. The storm was only the beginning. Tomorrow you will face challenges that require collaboration, courage, and perhaps even humor. Humans, you excel in all three." His insights, his mistakes, and his creativity were valued. Humans were small in the vast universe, perhaps, but they had unique qualities that could influence even the most advanced civilizations. As he settled into the soft, radiant chamber for rest, he reflected on the day's events. He had guided the city's energy, anticipated the storm's effects, and added a human perspective that strengthened the system. He had learned that human ingenuity was not just about invention or technology. It was about observation, adaptation, and the courage to act when the outcome was uncertain. He drifted to sleep with a smile, dreaming of glowing conduits, floating gardens, and the melodic laughter of the sisters. In his dreams, he saw patterns of energy flowing in harmony, guided by both human intuition and alien precision. He realized that humans had something special to offer, an ability to adapt, to think creatively, and to inspire confidence even in beings far more advanced than themselves. And as the city pulsed softly around him, Ethan knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, and new adventures. He had proven that humans were capable, not just of surviving, but of contributing, enhancing, and inspiring. The floating city, the sisters, and the storms beyond the horizon had shown him that being human was more than enough. It was extraordinary. The morning on the floating city was quieter than usual. The storm had passed, leaving behind a calm that made every structure glow with renewed energy. Ethan stepped onto the central platform, stretching his arms as he took in the view. From this height, he could see the gardens swaying gently, bridges shimmering with pulses of light, and the city itself appearing alive in a way he had never imagined. The sisters were already waiting, their eyes reflecting the morning glow. "Today," said the silver-haired sister, her voice soft but carrying authority, "you will learn the last part of your journey here. Today you will see the full potential of collaboration, human and alien working as one." He had helped stabilize the city, guided its energy flows, and earned the sisters' trust, but he knew there was more to discover. "I'm ready," he said. The copper-haired sister nodded, her eyes sparkling. "Then follow us. You will see how humans may contribute in ways we had not considered before." Below, conduits of light pulsed rhythmically, creating patterns that reminded Ethan of a heartbeat. In the distance, small ripples of energy shimmered like invisible waves, subtle reminders of the storm's passing. "This is the final challenge," said the gold-haired sister. "It is not a game of skill, but a test of understanding, creativity, and collaboration. We will guide the energy flows together, but your insight will lead the process." Their hands moved gracefully through the air, directing streams of energy and creating temporary bridges of light. Ethan watched carefully, noting how each conduit responded to subtle pressure, rhythm, and timing. Then he stepped forward, making small adjustments of his own. Where the sisters were precise and methodical, he added intuition, nudging flows to anticipate future shifts and creating patterns that complemented the natural energy of the city. At first, there were small misalignments. Ethan adjusted quickly, learning from each flicker and pause. The sisters observed closely, offering subtle guidance but mostly letting him act. It was a true partnership, one that required trust, patience, and courage. "You have a remarkable mind," said the silver-haired sister. "Humans are inventive. You see solutions where we see only complexity. Sometimes a problem looks impossible until you try a new way of looking at it." Ethan felt a deep sense of satisfaction. His human perspective, creativity, and intuition had helped not only to stabilize the city but to enhance it, creating a balance that was stronger than before. He realized that humans, though small in the vast universe, had qualities that even advanced alien civilizations valued: ingenuity, humor, adaptability, and courage. The final step came when the sisters guided him to the city's core, a platform of translucent energy that seemed to breathe in time with the city itself. "Here," said the gold-haired sister, "you will leave your mark. Your understanding, your creativity, and your courage will flow into the city as part of its living pattern." At first, nothing seemed to happen, but then he felt a warmth spreading through him, as if the city itself was acknowledging his presence. Streams of light extended from his fingertips, weaving into the energy network, creating patterns that were uniquely human, unexpected, bold, and harmonious. The sisters watched, their expressions soft with admiration. "Humans," said the copper-haired sister, "you may be small, but your mind and spirit leave lasting impact. You create beauty where others see only function." Here, above the floating gardens, among beings far beyond Earth, he realized that humanity had a place in the universe, not by conquering or overpowering, but by creating, understanding, and inspiring. When the patterns settled into a stable, glowing network, the city pulsed with a vibrant harmony. Ethan stepped back, watching the effects of his work ripple across the city. The sisters floated closer, their eyes shining. "You have completed your journey here," said the silver-haired sister. "You have learned, contributed, and impressed us in ways we did not anticipate. Humans, you are truly remarkable." "It was bold," said the gold-haired sister. "Boldness often leads to discovery." In the distance, the horizon shimmered with colors he could not name. "This is your farewell," said the copper-haired sister softly. "You may return to your world or you may stay. The choice is yours. But know this, you have earned our respect and friendship, and humans will always be welcome here." He had grown attached to this place, to the sisters, and to the sense of purpose he had found. But he also knew that Earth awaited, and that he could bring back knowledge, experience, and stories that would inspire others. I should return," he said finally, "but I promise I will not forget any of this." "We understand," said the silver-haired sister. You carry the essence of this place with you as we carry the memory of your contribution. Your mark is permanent, not in structures, but in spirit. It contains the rhythm of the city, the essence of our culture, and the acknowledgement of your role here. Keep it, and remember that humans are capable of remarkable things." They waved, teasing him gently with their laughter. "Do not forget," said the copper-haired sister, "humans are bold, clever, and resilient, and perhaps a little amusing." Ethan felt a sense of pride and wonder that he had never known. Humans were small, perhaps, but their ingenuity, creativity, humor, and courage could leave lasting impacts, even on worlds far beyond their own. As his ship lifted into the sky, Ethan looked down at the city one last time. The patterns of light and energy stretched across the floating platforms, more vibrant and alive than ever. He realized that he had not only survived the challenges but had enhanced the city, leaving it stronger than before. For the first time in his life, he felt the full weight of human potential. His creativity, observation, and courage had been acknowledged by beings far more advanced than himself. Humans were not insignificant. They could adapt, innovate, and inspire. The sisters' laughter and guidance echoed in his mind as he sailed into the stars, carrying with him the knowledge that even a single human could make a difference in the universe. And as the planet faded behind him, glowing softly in the alien dawn, Ethan felt hope, pride, and excitement for the future. This adventure, sparked by a simple joke about being single, had become the journey of a lifetime. It had tested his mind, challenged his creativity, and strengthened his spirit. He had proven that humans could contribute in meaningful ways, earn respect through ingenuity and courage, and leave a positive mark on worlds far beyond their own. And as he navigated through the stars toward home, he smiled, knowing that humanity's ingenuity, heart, and humor would continue to shine, wherever in the universe they were needed most. Ethan looked at the glowing orb the sisters had given him, feeling its warmth and rhythm. It was a reminder, a connection, and a promise. Humans were capable, adaptable, and extraordinary. He had seen it firsthand. He had lived it. And now, with the stars stretching endlessly before him, he knew that the universe had become a little smaller, a little brighter, and a lot more human.